Tonight on CTV, employee shortages, not only for the buses, but for campus jobs as well.
Then, ASCSU speaks on the resolution from Call Out CSU, and wildfires are finally dying down.
That's here on CTV.
Good evening, I'm Weston Hubbard.
And I'm Kenneth Frederick.
Campus is comparatively busier than it was last year, but doesn't have the staffing to hold it up. It takes a lot of power to run a campus as big as CSU. And we're not just talking about the electricity. The amount of staffing it takes to run every little part of the school is massive, and right now you might have noticed a lack of said staff. Take the Durrell Center, for example, where on September 5th they suspended the all-you-care-to-eat dining services due to staffing shortages. Durrell is not the only affected spot on campus, with places like the Laurie Student Center, small businesses run on campus, and even CSU PD are all running low on staffing. This could be equated to many different reasons, but thanks to a report in July of this year from the National Federation of Independent Business, they say that around 49% of business owners are having job openings that they are unable to fill as of right now, making it a 48-year high. Campus is littered with help wanted posters, and a few are recommending using Handshake, which can be accessed using your RAM web account. Next time you're waiting in line for food or just wondering why things may not be running as smooth as usual, just remember that the people that are usually there to help might not be at this time. If you find yourself looking for a job, feel free to check out jobs right here on campus that could be right for you.
The rescue mission of Fort Collins, a local homeless shelter, is trying to stop their outbreak of COVID as almost a fourth of its male residents have tested positive for the disease. After 2 cases were found at the mission, mass testing was ordered. 15 residents and 2 staff came back with positive COVID tests. The shelter is now working with the county health department to work on an isolation plan until the outbreak is over. Most of the cases so far have been mild, only requiring rest and time to get better. Seth Forwood, the senior director at the rescue mission, said that he was worried the isolation period would cause conflict for residents who had recently found jobs. To combat this, the county health department is writing letters of explanation for the men's situations.
Members of the Intertribal Alliance for Hughes Land Back are voicing their frustrations after one of the sweat lodges on Hughes land was destroyed. The group was reportedly going to gather on Saturday morning for a ceremony at the sweat lodge and instead were greeted with a destroyed building. The lodge has since been up since July, but as the Coloradan reports, the members believe it was taken down somewhere between September 15th and 16th. This follows after the Alliance has called upon CSU and the city of Fort Collins to return the land back to its rightful owners after plans to purchase it occurred earlier this year. Claudia Menendez, Fort Collins equity officer, said the sweat lodge was taken down in order for the city to reseed the land for natural growth.
For the first time in 16 years, the World Health Organization has updated its global air quality guidelines. And this time, a CSU professor has been able to give his input. Dr. David Rojas is an assistant professor of epidemiology here at CSU. His work on the new guidelines involved researching and identifying the largest populations that would be put at risk from poor air quality. He found that the health effects tied to the air pollution impact nearly all of the organ systems in our bodies. In 2019, air pollution accounted for about 12% of all human deaths. Claire Rolson, an officer in CSU's Science Communication Club, said that she was proud that CSU was a world representative and was doing such important research.
It's great to have someone who's a part of our school representing, and knowing that we have those resources here is also super impressive for CSU.
The WHO says that exceeding the new air quality guideline levels can lead to a significant risk of health for populations.
A woman who has been missing since July is still missing after a massive search term attempted to find her yesterday. Diana Brown went missing after her trailer was involved in a massive flash flood in Black Hollow. The bodies of 3 of her family members, including her husband, Richard, 85, and their 2 kids, Patricia, 59, and David Brown, 61, were found dead in the Poudre Canyon after the flood. The search team comprised of more than 120 searchers with dogs, but still turned up no results to any sign of Diana, leaving friends and family without any closure for one of the missing members of their family. As of now, there are currently no other scheduled searches to occur for Diana.
A student at Colorado State University Pueblo was arrested Tuesday for possessing a large cache of weapons and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition. Robert James Killis was a 24-year-old student at CSU Pueblo. The police were tipped off that he was threatening students and staff on campus. Witnesses also reported that Killis said he liked to kill people. On Monday, detectives trailed Killis and saw a box of ammunition, bulletproof vest, and what appeared to be a firearms case in his truck. When executing a search warrant at his house, multiple loaded firearms and clips were found. Killis was arrested the next day for unlawful possession of a weapon on university campus.
Well, Rams, stick around.
There's more news after the weather with Morgan Gardner.
Fall is finally here. And while that necessarily doesn't mean lower temperatures, it does mean one thing. The spooky season is upon us, and a little bit of cooler weather is also here. How's it going, Rams? My name is Morgan, here to give you the rundown on all things weather. Starting off with current conditions, it is 72 degrees outside, mostly clear, not too many clouds. Some winds, 7 miles per hour, north-northwest, and the sunset at 6:53. And this narrative continues throughout the region tonight. Pretty quiet evening across the board. Across over here in the eastern region, Burlington at 49, Lamar at 48, and Sterling over there at 44. While across on the western region, we have Vail at 38, Gunnison at 31, and Telluride at 40. While Alamosa is down there at 32, making it a pretty chilly evening as well for them. As we look into tomorrow's forecast, it's pretty consistent across the board as well. As we can see here, there's a lot of 77s on the board. So Craig up there at 77, Fort Collins at 77, Sterling at 77, and Lyman at 77. Lamar over there at 84 degrees. Well, Telluride gets its nice taste of the fall weather at 66 degrees. And there's been some record highs and record lows this summer season and going into fall. Denver had a record high. Denver had a record hot weekend, but Nokotown was the coldest in the U.S. And as we go into tomorrow's forecast, 77 degrees, partly cloudy with a little bit of wind, 8 miles an hour east-southeast. Sunrise at 6:49 a.m. and sunset at 6:53. And record highs and record lows throughout the region this year. Denver had a record hot weekend, but Nokotown was the coldest in the U.S. Colorado served us with yet another hot and cold trick this weekend as temperatures reached record heat along the Front Range. It was a way different story up in the mountains, though. According to the National Weather Service, on Saturdays, it was 93 degrees, which set a record for September 18th. The temperature recorded was tied with the previous high set over 100 years ago in 1895. NWS, National Weather Service for Boulder, tweeted out record high tied at Denver International Airport. Denver International recorded a temperature of 93 degrees this afternoon. This ties a previous record high for Denver, last set in 1895. The Fort Collins area reached the low 90s on Saturday, but less than 100 miles away, Walden, Colorado was setting quite a different record. On Saturday evening, Walden reached 20 degrees, and snow was falling from the sky. Needless to say, residents were shocked. Walden resident Robert Ainsworth posted a picture on his Instagram feed after waking up to a blanket of snow in their backyard. So, while the rest of the U.S. was heating up, Walden enjoyed a cool premiere into the fall season. Luckily for us, we won't be receiving any snow this week or anytime soon. And as we hop into our 5-day forecast, it's looking like a cool fall entrance into the week ended quick. As today and the next few days get back into the summertime feel. We see highs well into the 80s before our next cool down arrives by late next week. 85 on Saturday, 88 on Sunday, and 85 on Monday. Minimal cloud coverage too, making it feel like days right smack dab in the middle of June. Overall, fall is waiting a while before making its entrance, unless you're Walden, Colorado, that is. And well, Rams, that is all the time I have with you on weather tonight. But stick around after the break for more news.
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
We hope you enjoyed it. A trip to DIA can take someone coming from Fort Collins a little under 2 hours. But with the Northern Colorado Regional Airport's new expansion, that drive could be cut down to 20 minutes. A new terminal is being built with the predictions of completion set for the middle of 2024. Airport officials are hoping that the new terminal will attract more regularly scheduled flights. The first of the commercial flights will start October 6th and fly from Burbank Airport. For more information on how to book a flight, you can go to flynoco.com/flights.
Flights are just always, I've always loved airports, and I've always loved actually flying and going places, so I really hope we can get that made.
I'm super excited to be able to fly anywhere from Denver. Loveland.
Honestly, yeah, same.
Now, let's throw it over to our live reporter, JJ, to learn about ASCSU's decision over Call Out CSU.
Thanks, Kenny. The ASCSU Senate came into session last night to hear the demands of activist groups like Call Out CSU over last week's protest in the university's defense of the First Amendment. I do want to give a fair warning to those of you who may be triggered by the subject of sexual assault. Emotions were high in the Senate chamber as members of Call Out CSU let out their frustrations with the handling of student safety following last week's plaza protest. Throughout the evening, community members gave harrowing testimonies about the abuse and mistreatment they have faced on campus. Stories of harassment, verbal homophobic slurs, threats of violence, and sexual assault were frequently brought up, leaving a lot of Call Out CSU's members physically and mentally exhausted.
I feel like it is not a safe environment when people of color and people who are gender non-conforming or simply love someone besides who the person speaking does.
To combat this issue, Call Out CSU wrote out Resolution 5103 to protect students of all backgrounds at CSU. The resolution, backed by the Pride Resource Center, the Student Disability Center, the Black African American Cultural Center, and many others, will address the needs of marginalized students. They had a long list of demands calling for things like the condemnation of hate speech, along with an investigative committee and a non-police oriented task force to hold those offenders accountable.
Semester, we have to go out onto the plaza, we have to go out into the CSU community and hear all of these terrible things about us because
CSU is hoping to turn the resolution into a collaborative effort by gaining the support of BIPOC communities like the Native American Cultural Center and other marginalized communities. Controversy arose as senators like Senator Osterhout believed that the resolution was rushed and uninclusive to indigenous people. After discussing for over 2 hours, it was decided that the resolution would be sent to the Budgetary Affairs Committee for evaluation. The resolution will come up again at next week's Senate session for another reading. We will continue to keep you updated on this resolution as more information becomes available. Now, back to you guys.
Thanks for the information, JJ. Pooter officials are reporting that the Stag Hollow wildfire is now 100% contained. The fire began last week with fire officials offering out voluntary evacuations for residents nearby. Over the last few days, the firefighters were doing their best to get in under control, and as of Tuesday evening, it looks as though they have. After the Cameron Peak fires ravaged our state last year, the potentiality of another massive wildfire is sure to get anyone on edge. Luckily, our fire department was able to take this one down before it got too bad.
If you use Fort Collins Transfort, there are some new changes coming next week that you should know about. Routes 11 and 12 go through much of Fort Collins south of Horsetooth Road. The routes will be indefinitely suspended due to a lack of employees. The university chose these routes due to their low ridership rates. These closures come after Transfort wasn't able to fill over 20 open positions after months of searching. For anyone who is impacted by these lines shutting down, an on-demand taxi service is being set up from 5:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night.
Well, Rams, that is all the time we do have for you tonight.
But be sure to stick around for all the sports news you could ever want from Cameron Evig.
And the best in entertainment from Tom Isaacson right here on CTV.